Welcome back to Reclaiming Leadership with the Good Business Witch. We are on episode 5, and it is titled, I'm Not Like Other Girls. And I have to say it like that for a couple of reasons. One, because I have to make fun of it, quite honestly. And two, because I think it's really toxic. So let's dig into it. It's definitely something that you hear in pop culture and you hear in friend groups. And it's an attitude that permeates every part of our lives. And, as long as we're reinforcing this patriarchal bullshit, it's never going to get fixed. So I have a teenager and they are amazing. They are 17. And I have always loved teenagers. Back when I was teaching violin lessons in public school, I thrived in the high school environment because, um, teenagers, they're expanding their horizons, they're expanding their thought processes, they are expanding, what they care about and what they're really into, what they love, what they hate, what they want to see more of in the world, what they want to eliminate in the world. They're also the funniest freaking population on the planet. I don't know what happens. It's like we get to teenage years and teenagers are hilarious. And then at some point, I don't know, it's like we grow out of it. And it's very frustrating to me because I love humor and I love to laugh. But one of the funny things that my kiddo does is they'll say, I'm not like other girls, to make fun of women who say that. And we'll get to that in a minute. But let's talk about this attitude in a work situation and why it is so destructive to an organization, to individual women, to groups of women, and to just all of us in society. So in a 2016 study from the Netherlands, it's called the Queen Bee phenomenon, why women leaders distance themselves from junior women. The researchers found that when it comes to publicly listed European organizations, only 21.1% of board members are women, and only 3.6% of them hold chief executive positions. And that's comparable to the US, where it's more like, at the time, it was 19.2% are board members, and like 4.4% were CEOs in the US. However, we see a lot of corporations and organizations trying to change that, right? And we're seeing even small businesses bringing on more female contractors, female employees, that sort of thing. And the idea is that if we have more women in leadership positions, in management positions, then they'll bring a more feminine perspective to the role. They will come in, they will provide some diversity, they will provide a different perspective. They will also be inspirational to younger women in the organization. They will nurture and mentor them, just like men in leadership roles will nurture and lead and mentor younger men. Unfortunately, that's not the case. And researchers call this the queen bee phenomenon. And it's the phenomenon in which the women actually reinforce the masculine leadership in their organizations. They don't bring a more feminine approach to tasks. Women don't tend to add diversity when they're put in leadership roles. And when I read this research, I was honestly a little devastated. Like, I was a little surprised. And there was a part of me that wasn't surprised at all, unfortunately. Because this is the same attitude of, I'm not like other girls. These women actually will assimilate into an organization and a hierarchy that's already in place, and they just kind of slap lipstick on it and feel good about themselves. I started reading or listening to, I guess, really, a book on leadership, and it was like feminine leadership and, all this new perspective. Now, mind you, I have an MBA from Texas Women's University in women in leadership. That's my concentration. So I took a lot of classes on organizational behavior, on the challenges that women face in organizations, in companies, um, a lot of that stuff. And my research was all centered on that. And I'm listening to this audiobook and I'm like, these are all really outdated ideas about leadership. This is leadership from like the late 90s, early 2000s, which had some good parts, don't get me wrong. But it sounded exactly like all the leadership advice that I had read and heard about from men, except it was in a more feminine voice and she was very perky. Now, more power to her. She's doing her thing. And maybe when she's not reading an audiobook, uh, about leadership, she is offering some really good advice and guidance to other women. But it was just an example of slapping lipstick on masculine leadership ideas. So what happens when you have a woman that comes into an organization and has this vibe of, I'm not like other girls, I'm not like the other women here? So three things happen. So women in leadership will present themselves as more masculine than the men they work with, or at least as masculine. They will physically and psychologically distance themselves from younger women and other women in the organization. And they will endorse and help legitimize the current gender differences and hierarchy that are already there. For these women, career success is defined by masculine characteristics of being goal-oriented, action-based, action-oriented, tough, firm. In an Italian study, male and female university faculty were asked to describe themselves, and the women in the senior faculty positions, not the junior faculty positions, mind you, but the senior faculty positions presented themselves or saw themselves as equally or more masculine than their male colleagues. More masculine. And so in this study, the researchers realized it was like, oh, so more masculine means better at the job. In the Netherlands, female board members describe themselves as more status oriented, which again is a male career and success characteristic. Women in senior positions tend to describe themselves as more ambitious and more masculine than the younger women in the organization. And they compare themselves not like the other women they work with, but like the men they work with. There's also this distancing and this separation, this I'm not like other girls. It's extremely important for us to fit in. And it is extremely important for us to be accepted. And this is not some vapid desire either. This is not some, I just want to be cool, I want to be liked. It's in our DNA to be accepted and to be part of a group. It's tied to our survival instincts. Back when we wandered from place to place in search of food and suitable shelter, being a member of the community literally was the difference between life and death. Like you would die on your own if you were rejected. So those patterns run deep within all of us and they're reinforced today. So now we have a structure that is highly masculine. And in order to be accepted in that highly masculine structure, we have women who come in as leaders and they adapt to the highly masculine structure. And this is why I find women-owned businesses like Knix and Bumble so fun and so fascinating because they are led by women for women, both as an organization internally, but also for their customers. It's fan-freaking-tastic. That phrase, I'm not like other girls, is so toxic. It is so misogynistic. And it's not uncommon for women to have internalized misogyny. We saw a lot of that come out in recent years in political elections. And when we say something like, I'm not like other girls, we're saying I am better than other girls because either A, I'm more like boys, or B, I am more acceptable to boys. So you should wear your hair in ringlets with a full face of makeup or no makeup at all and a baseball cap on your head or somewhere in between. You should be into horses and cats and poetry and Pride and Prejudice and the aliens movies and working out in the gym or all of the above. You should be who you want to be and just enjoy it. And I don't use the word should often because I feel like it's limiting, but in this instance, you should be anything you want to be. And if any woman acts like she's better than you because she's not like other girls, remember that has nothing to do with you and everything to do with her. And she is aligning with the structure that she thinks is going to be the most successful. And I tell you what, after the pandemic, we have shifted how we work and what's important to us and what's important in our leaders and what's important in our organizations. And this hard line, drive to the goal line, push hard, work long hours, I've already seen it starting to come apart, like systemically come apart. It kind of came apart with the idea that it was going to be temporary for a while. And now it's really coming apart. People are leaving jobs and have been for months because there's this hard line, super masculine, patriarchal, like I don't even have a word for it, but you know what I mean. It's like, remember before Henry Ford came along and made a 40-hour work week with weekends, people were working 6 and 7 days a week. They might get a break for church. They might not. And we needed that then, but now we need a different structure. We need something different because you don't survive a global event like the one we went through the past couple of years and not change how you're living. So if you ever catch anybody saying, oh, I'm not like other girls or whatever, just gently remind them that we can all be who we want to be and love the things we want to love and be into the things that we want to be into. And it doesn't make us any better or any worse than the person next to us, unless, we're actual Nazis or drowning puppies or something horrible like that. That if you like to dress up or you like to go to baseball games on the weekend, neither one of those are superior to the other. That if you want to work in a florist shop or you want to go be a CEO of a multinational company, they're both valid. They're both wonderful. And what's important is that you're happy and you're taken care of and you're taking care of yourself. That's my thoughts for this week. And I hope it's given you an idea. I hope it's inspired you. I hope it's been interesting to kind of learn about some of this strange stuff that happened in our society, that happens in work and outside of work. And if it's made you think about something or, you want to share some thoughts with me, just reach out. You can reach out to me here on this platform, or you can reach out to me at hello@meganwinkler.com. I'd love to have a conversation with you. I think that conversations and communication are just among the most valuable tools that we have in life and business. So I am into having a great chat with you. Let's see. Coming up, we have, I haven't talked about my book in a little while. I want to let you know I am in the midst of elbow deep in my book, Break Up with Burnout. And it is specifically for women who want to avoid burnout, want to understand how we can get into burnout, and like understand it beyond just like, oh, you're stressed out and you need to chill. No, no, no. Like understand it from a historical, systemic position. So that's coming out. We're aiming for June. So I'm excited about that. And currently I'm getting ready for Samhain and Halloween. So I'm it's my favorite part of the year. So if you're into Halloween too or Samhain, please let me know. And I look forward to connecting with you outside of the podcast. I hope you have a fantastic week, and I will chat with you next time. Until then, stay magical.